Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Nur Fatihah binti Juno. Metric number is 146503. Second year student from School of Education Studies. Now, today I want presenting about behaviorism, which is for my course PGT 201E. So, what is behaviorism? Theory is one of the basic of a field of knowledge, including the field of educational psychology. Learning theories in educational psychology focus on aspects of learning, and from it come certain ideas and principles. The relevance of this theory is actually no longer for us. In fact, it is sometimes used in everyday conversation or conversation. Behaviorism is a learning theory that only focuses on objectively observable behavior and discount any independent activity of the mind. Behavior theory defines learning as nothing more than the acquisition of new behavior based on environmental conditional. Behaviorism is only concerned with observer stimulus response behavior, as they can be studied in a systematic and observable manner. Next slide is history of behaviorism. First figure, behaviorism is Ivan Pavlov. Pavlov explored automatic responses and found that stimuli could be connected to this. Notably, a formerly neutral stimulus that had no particular effect could be made to have an effect by pairing it with a stimulus that does have an effect. In this way, even two can become stimuli. For example, where image of public speaking can make people sweat. He is most famous for this work with duck, getting them to salivate when he rang a bell, and his consequent description of classical conditioning. Interesting, he also won a Nobel Prize for his work and the digestive system. Second figure is B.F. Skinner. From the 1940 years, Skinner revised the ideas of Pavlov and Watson into what he called operant conditioning. He realized that much human action could not be explained by simple conditioning that seem to predict animals' responses. Although Skinner did much work with pigeons that helped explain more complex behavior. Skinner paid particular attention to reinforcement, both positive and negative, and its effects. He also noticed that the predictability and removal or reinforce was important. Third figure is John Watson. Watson made great advances in social through the rigor of his work and his concern for observer behavior rather than musing about internal mechanism. He translated Pavlov's work with dogs into everyday life, and in particular the field of advertising. The last figure is Edward Thorndike. He is famous in psychology for his work and learning theory that lead to the development of operant conditioning within behaviorism. Whereas classical conditioning depends on developing association between events, Operant conditioning involves learning from the consequence of our behavior. The next slide is two types of conditioning. According to behavioral psychology, there are two major types of conditioning: classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Classical conditioning is a technique frequently used in behavior training in which a neutral stimulus is paired with a naturally occurring stimulus. Eventually, the neutral stimulus comes to evoke the same response as the naturally occurring stimulus, even without the naturally occurring stimulus presenting itself. Throughout the course of three distinct phases, the associated stimulus becomes known as the condition stimulus, and the learned behavior is known as the conditional response. Next is operant conditioning. Operant conditioning, sometimes referred to as instrumental conditioning, is a method of learning that occurs through reinforcement and punishment. Through operant conditioning, an association is made between a behavior and a consequence for the behavior. When a desirable result follows an action, the behavior becomes more likely to occur again in the future. Response followed by adverse outcome, and the other hand, become less likely to happen again in the future. Slide is why do I prefer this? First, behaviorism theory can help me to react in something. Second, can increase motivation in life and learning. Third, help me understand the study material more easily. And the last, why do I prefer this? Be able to know the advantage and disadvantage of oneself directly by responding to something. The last slide is conclusion. In conclusion, this theory of behaviorism is very helpful to students and youth in learning and teaching today. Besides it, this theory can also help me find who and I behave like me. That's all from me. Thank you.